Hello there, it's WeekRuined again, and I wanted to, like I said the other day, give this a go. This topic is just fascinating to me, and even though this is the very, very beginning of my channel, I'm not sure if it will ever go anywhere, but I've always wanted to give this a go. So this is kind of I'm going to call them reviews just to kind of stand out, but it's really kind of commenting on some kind of current internet goings on. So I'm not sure if people are aware, but there's kind of a controversy slash debate going on about transformative content. So this is when you get these React streamers and that kind of thing. In this case, I'm going to go through a little bit of information on. I think it's a Sssniperwolf and Jacksfilms, which is an ongoing debate, and the other one would be XQC versus H3, which is a little bit more recent and a little bit more heated. So that should be fun. I'm going to start with the Jacksfilms first. So for context, I'm going to go through them from the point of view of Jacksfilms on Jacksfilms video, and on H3, I'll go through the H3 interview where he actually interviews XQC, and it should be a lot of fun. I'm not going to spend too much time on the video because I don't want to be exactly, the kind of thing that I'm trying to talk about. That's why I'm doing an actual intro and talking over it and not just going, wow, and all that kind of thing. I want to actually have a discussion and talk about this stuff and kind of try and break it down. And I want to do this from the point of view of just your everyday, kind of British Yorkshire non-YouTubey type, person. You could think of me as, your average spectator or, one view of the many millions that these kind of videos get. And I think that that's going to be a good perspective to go through this stuff. So I'm going to get started. So I am not used to using this stuff. So this should play, if I'm right.
Going everywhere.
Pretty cool.
Right.
If
so
you want to
let's-
support the original creators of the TikToks, too bad, because the only links you'll find in the description are all Sniperwolf. And my favorite part is that half of the TikToks she includes either crop out the original username or just straight up don't have one. To use a recent example from just 3 days ago, she features 19 videos.
So the first thing I want to say about this is so Jax Films is kind of going in hard. It seems pretty annoyed, and that's out of character for Jax Films. I think that he's been wronged somehow because his channel's usually really well spirited. There's usually a really good mood. It's the kind of YouTube content where it's self-deprecating humor a lot of the time. His own audience makes fun of him. Just like visual gags saying, the big forehead thing or whatever, or the Agent Smith, kind of like looks and that kind of thing. And he's usually, fantastic about it, really good attitude. And I think that's why a lot of people come back to him. A lot of people just want to, I think that people relate to his channel because it's for people with a similar sense of humor. He does Yai, which is Yesterday I Asked You, and that is just reading comments, so it comes with the territory. Jack Ask, again, based on, communication with the audience. And the content that he makes is, people say that he's letting his audience make a lot of this content for him. But the fact is that, in my experience, he, literally reads the comments out himself and then retorts to them in his own way, which, I'm guessing he hasn't even gotten into it yet, but I'm going to go ahead and say that that's what makes it transformative. So, yeah, we'll carry on.
13 of which don't have any identifiable usernames. That means there's no way to find and support the original creators here. All of the views and all of the revenue go straight to Sniperwolf. You know the phrase, work smarter, not harder? Well, Sniperwolf does neither. She just steals and doesn't credit anyone. and has
brutal.
become a zillionaire in doing so.
A fire hydrant exploded, and the water's just going everywhere.
Yeah, so the first thing I'll say about her is, it's obviously she's female. She's going to get, a lot of views. I'm sure that a lot of people around her age probably think, pretty girl reacting, nice voice, high pitched, all that kind of thing. Just got the makeup and everything, long hair, blah, blah. Pink background, the first thing that I think is, it's aimed at a younger audience. There's probably, a lot of female listeners, and it's probably a completely different audience to Jack's films. But the point that he's making is that, she's not actually, giving back. She's watching a video, whereas Jack's films doesn't, typically watch videos unless it's ones where people have submitted things that they want him to play on the channel. And, in this case, it's just a straight, TikTok video. So, yeah, it's not text, it's a video. And, yeah, the audience is different. It's aimed at people who they're probably going to prefer to watch this, content with her reaction rather than the content itself. Or, they might enjoy rewatching it with somebody else's perspective. And I think that's why people might enjoy this kind of thing, which is certainly interesting. But, the thing that I will say is if it were, a different room with a purple background instead of, I'm kind of colorblind, but, a purple background instead of a pink background or something. And if it were a different girl, maybe someone blonde or something like that, like, the question has to be asked is, would it gain the same amount of views if, all the reaction is just, whoa, and a description of what happened in the video, which is, what I'm curious about. I personally think that only Jack's films can do Jack's films. So, he's got something unique about him there, but I don't want to judge too soon, so I'll just carry on and we'll
pretty cool.
play a little bit
now,
more.
some of you might be thinking, so what? Who cares? She's giving creators exposure. And hey, maybe she gets permission from the creators to feature their work. You already know the answer to that. We reached out to creators who've had their work featured in Sniperwolf's videos. And when we asked them if Sniperwolf...
In Jack's films content, obviously, he always reads out the username. Sometimes part of the humor is that they have a funny username. So, Diarrhea, Megan, that kind of thing. Classic bits from Jack's films channels. And it looks like, this is... it looks like Sniperwolf's videos are purely focused on the content without actual reference to where it came from or, the context. So I don't know whether, she is watching, a piece of content that was recorded in person or recorded, third person passed to them from somebody else, maybe screen recorded from something else. I'm not sure at the moment, but I'm not sure if that's, completely relevant. So to not be completely one-sided and to give her some credit, she's taken the effort to curate this content, and there are obviously many videos that take place in the content, so it's a curation really, and I think that that's what people like. So she's taken a bunch of videos that she considers funny that people might like, and it seems that based on the stories that I've heard, she's very successful and very good at doing that. So that's kind of her thing, I think. So, but to not give credit, I think, with the amount of money that she's supposedly making and that kind of thing, I think that, the least she could do is, dedicate a portion of that work to just, referencing the original creators. And, I don't think that that's that much to ask. I know that with a lot of people don't want to spend too long making videos, so I've certainly got a cheap setup here. And I'm doing a one take, so I can see why not everybody wants to spend too long doing all that stuff. But she is curating it anyway, and if you're curating it anyway, then you might as well put where you got the video.
And/or her team had insightful commentary.
Absolutely not.
And look, you can see the original uploader's username. Maybe they got a little bump, right? Well, when I looked up their account on TikTok,
It's like me reacting
I found they had a decent number of followers, but that's probably due to their whale shark video going viral last year.
What?
Because if you look at their most recent TikToks, they're hardly getting any views at all. Which means that, no,
My God.
people aren't flocking to the original creators, even when their username is displayed on screen. And remember, this is the first TikTok in a video with well over 1 million views.
she's got weird lips. I don't know if she's had surgery or not. I've heard a rumor, but I'm not sure if it's true. But yeah, she looks kind of weird. Anyway, not good or bad. I don't want to, go down that route. But to me, obviously I'm from England, and we all look kind of weird over here. You know what I mean? So yeah, I won't go there. But and it's Jacksfilms as well. He's not the most handsome dude in the world by any means.
But guess who's reaping all the benefits?
Yeah, so back to the money thing. Apparently she's
Believe it or
raking
not,
it in.
it actually gets worse, because sometimes Sniperwolf steals from other content thieves. Here she is reacting to an... Even if she did credit the creators and ask their permission to feature them, it transformative value. Going back to Sniperwolf, all under fair use, it must be transformative and add new meaning to the material. That's how I was able to monetize my old infomercial and Apple parodies. Yeah, I was using copyrighted content, but my satirical slant added transformative value. Going back to Sniperwolf, her commentary isn't so much transformative as it is just summarizing what we're watching.
Someone caught is that a cow? Oh.
So going into what he's mentioned, I'd say, she's 2/3 of the screen, at least. That's something. I can see a TikTok logo, so at least, there's some kind of watermark going on. But yeah, I've got no idea where this video came from. I just know that it's curated. I appreciate that it's curated, but, as a person on the other side of the internet just consuming this, the average person's not going to care that much about where it actually came from and who gets the money for it. Now, I will say, on an ideological level, it would be ideal if, credit was given where credit was due, and if all the right people received money for their work. But, reality is just kind of not like that. But, I do have to take Jack's side that, it is low quality. I personally would never watch her, Sniperwolf. It's a little bit cringy and hard to watch, and I think that, what Jacksfilms does is a bit more... complex. The jokes are a little bit more, more kind of my speed, whereas I think that, her Sniperwolf's content is, just a little bit, it seems like it's aimed at a much younger audience, which it probably is, so it wouldn't be for me personally. But back to transformative content. So yeah, he's right that it's barely transformative. I think that there are some technical arguments to say that it's transformative, with the screen and the curation and, the reaction all, put together. I mean that, it's not just responding to the original video. It's a little bit more, but it's not much more at all. And it's certainly, to me, seems like it's skirting a fine line between just low effort copying and, actual effort being put into making a video. But going back to what I said earlier, I'm trying to, not spend too much time just watching it. And, you can watch these videos for yourself, definitely do that. And I'm going to post, both these videos in my comments to show where they came from. So, hopefully I'm not going to be kind of lumped in with, this kind of content creator. But, I will say that I would appreciate her talking a little bit more about this stuff rather than just, going, or whatever it is that she does. She kind of sounds like an old lady a little bit, it's like, fireman Sam, and all that kind of thing, it's just like, what the hell? It's a bit, it kind of, grinds my eardrums to dust a little bit, listening to it.
Oh no! One of them rolled down the hill!
It's not even content, it's non-tent.
Yeah, it's hard to listen to. It's pretty annoying, to be honest.
Sniperwolf is the damn that's crazy last month's VidCon. Claiming she gets her boost this kind of activity is so disheartening. It sends a terrible message.
Right, so Jacksfilms is just really pissed off because he's been doing this for years and years and years and hasn't hit 5 million subscribers yet. I do think that he deserves more subscribers. He's been around the longest. He's done a lot of work. But I also am aware that he's making a living off this stuff. And, he's got a game out. He's got other ventures, that kind of thing. So, it's not 100%, sympathy. I do think that he will eventually hit 5 million. And I think that, he does deserve more, but at the same time, I'm also acutely aware of large gaps in large amounts of time where there's been either no content or very little content. A lot of the old series that regular users return to, like Yai and that kind of thing, seem to have ceased. And I really, really laughed at the AI video that he released recently, but yeah, so there's a lot of kind of like gaps and lack of content sometimes that I can't help but point out, just to be completely fair. The other thing is the Erin is the Funny One podcast. Erin is Jacksfilms' wife, and she's absolutely hilarious, and I loved that podcast. But again, no episodes. For I think over a year now, something like that. It's been mentioned every so often that it's going to come back, but it hasn't. So that's a little bit disappointing as well.
To creators, and that is, don't create, steal. Why make content when you can curate it? What's the point in writing music, or animating, or perfecting your craft when you can just upload someone else's hard work and say,
this is nuts. Like, I cannot even believe what I'm seeing right now.
Me neither. The other...
No, I watch stuff like watch repair and stuff like that sometimes, and that is just far, far more interesting, impressive, and sophisticated, I'd say.
Reason I'm going after Sssniperwolf, maybe from the people that made them. By the way, that's a real tweet from YouTube. Are you like content theft or freebooting? They just want to go to the page with all the...
So he's, in his podcast and on previous videos, said that he has a huge kind of pet peeve against freebooting. So I know that, this is probably triggering that same past, issue that he's got with, this kind of thing going on. I'd say, despite the fact that Sniperwolf's content is absolute garbage, there is also that element, I think, of, jealousy, which is, I'd say, kind of understandable given his, long history. And, it's not nice to see, somebody rush past you with very little effort. It can cause a lot of envy, and I think that's, very understandable. But the fact is that I do think that he's jealous.
Funny TikToks. Wow, this YouTuber has all the coolest TikToks.
Oh, I just want to add that I absolutely would be as well if I were in that position. I think that I've kind of had this happen to me before in my career, and I can't help but relate to this and say that I think it's completely understandable.
TikToks. I really want to know how Sniperwolf finds all the right now. One is, why is he so obsessed with me? To which I say, are you serious? I just told you that.
Joke. That's a reference to another show.
Another thing you might actually be thinking is, he's just jealous of my success. And you know what, Sniperwolf? I am.
Cool.
Of course I am. No. You've stolen your way to the top. You've made your millions, but off the backs of hundreds of other creators who didn't really consent to this partnership you forced upon them. And I'm not just jealous. I'm jaded.
So, yeah, it's cool that he's actually owning it and, being very honest and upfront, which I think a lot of people lack these days. One way that I can relate to this, so where I was growing up, we had a lot of, kind of like criminals in the family and that kind of thing. So I'm in my 30s now, but when I was 12 years old, we often... when we weren't involved, but, sometimes we were around people that made a living by, stealing things and then selling them. And, as young children, we weren't often aware that that was going on. But there was, kind of a code that despite the fact that stealing was going on, it wasn't my place to, report them or anything like that, despite the fact that, they were definitely doing something wrong and breaking the law. When it was family, that kind of thing are the people that I can relate to. But in this case, it's not family; it's it's direct competition, so it's a little bit different. But yeah, there's no honor amongst thieves and all that kind of thing. And I'm not the same person that I was when I was, with that family. But I just want to, raise the point that not everybody is willing to just, be a tattletale or whatever they say in America. Some people, respect that, other people might, have great success off the back of taking something from somebody else, which is, highly morally dubious. But it happens, and some people out there have kind of a code, and it's worth noting that there are a large portion of people that I'm not one of these people, or at least certainly not anymore, but there are people that kind of have that kind of moral compass, and it's worth just acknowledging the existence of that.
This is my 17th year on YouTube, and I've seen this platform evolve countless times since I started in 2006.
Damn, I was
back
just
then,
starting
the
university
content
back
YouTube
then.
would boost was sketch comedy or I'm here. I've said my piece, but will anything actually... Oh my gosh, a whole week to make paper? No thanks, I'll just in 1 week since playing a character. What if I just graded each one of the channel called Jacksfilms? I'm just going to say it. This sucks. This absolutely sucks. Both the thing itself and is arguable because anything can be content. I'm going to go. And I'm not just jealous. I'm jaded. This is my idea, or anything can be content.
Anything that I've missed that
for
might
better
be a little
or
bit
for
more
worse.
interesting.
When you turn on the
So now what? Where do we go with YouTube's promotion of it? Of sniper criticism. And what if I credit snatching memes with no cred? Original sad there daily for as long as I want.
Right, so he's going to do some retaliation that I'm going to personally keep my eye on. It's been going on for a little bit now, but there hasn't been that much, but it's pretty good. I recommend checking it out. I certainly will be. So I think there's not much to say about that. I think that gives a really good kind of introduction to the whole transformative content thing, and kind of raises the point. It gives an example of where this debate is relevant and where it comes from. Examples of people who disagree with the current status quo, the current kind of way that things are, and people that are benefiting from it and thriving, that kind of thing. So the next thing that I wanted to look at was H3 versus XQC. So this was the other day, absolutely.
Oh, you know what I
fantastic,
want to do?
so-
React to this on YouTube and upload it without actually adding any value.
this
so I
isn't
get
the
some
right
money
one.
from
This is
Jacksfilms.
just,
So let's do that right now, baby. Woo!
All right, let's do this one last time. This is Sniper.
Nope. These guys, they got a lot more heated. Actually, this was an actual debate that they had with each other. It was really cool.
So I just want to say, first off, like I was saying, thank you for...
So H3 is another YouTuber that's going on. It's been going on a long, long time. He was, not quite as, long running as Jacksfilms, but certainly almost there. And I think that him and Jacksfilms are friends. So there's a little bit of overlap there. I know that H3 recently, watched the video that I've just, watched with you guys, and tended to. He started off being very, very fair, but then leaned more towards the Jacksfilms side, and recognized his own bias being friends with him, but seemed to give a really fair, kind of, honest opinion, that kind of thing. It seemed to be, not too biased. He made like kind of the odd joke about Jacksfilms and that kind of thing, and it's all, I think it was fine. So that was in a previous H3 podcast episode. And then there was another episode where he debated with Hassan Piker about, the subject of transformative content. And instead of Sniperwolf, in this case, he uses XQC as his kind of, quote-unquote content thief. So in this case, yeah, it's XQC instead of Sniperwolf. And so XQC is another YouTuber, kind of like reactor that... doesn't put that much time into the reaction videos. It's, a lot more of this, kind of, reaction, all that kind of thing, kind of like, it's kind of whatever. But, yeah, all that stuff. But so this was
doing this. I think it's important conversation to have, and I think you're
Hassan
the
kind
right
of took
person
a
to
I don't
talk to
care
about
stance.
it. Simply because I feel, and that's my focus, if that's okay with you.
Okay. You know what? Okay, just for the sake of having a good argument, I'll do that. Except for when the topic matters.
Sure.
Right. It really matters. If it doesn't, overall fine. But there are certain points that like it plays a big role into it. If it's too big, I think I want to ignore it. But
you know what? That's 100% fine. I guess I'm just
legality, right? Technically, if I'm playing some Telltale game, well, I mean, they could take me down anytime they want, right? Because that's their game, and I'm yoinking their stuff, right? So legality-wise, they could clap me for everything I've got, but for just playing their game.
Sure, yeah. But obviously, well, so fair use is decided on a case-by-case basis by a judge or jury. So it's hard to do big sweeping generalizations.
It's done by an AI a lot of the time, as far as I'm aware, but I get the point. So, it sounds to me like, XQC doesn't really, care, and he's just kind of like, whatever gets taken down will get taken down. And, I think that Ethan's more idealistic here, kind of do what's right kind of stance.
About what is and what isn't. But ultimately, if I understand your position, you don't really care about the legality of it. You're more like concerned with the philosophical thoughts of reacting to content.
The limitations of that is that I care enough about it to where it affects me, right? So I have to care because it's the legality of it, right? Like if somebody wants to strike down, wants to send out a claim, whatever, well, I have to act on that, right? So whether I care or not, that will happen,
right.
And it happens all the time.
Carry on the video. If your stream is 12 hours long and you're reacting to an 8-minute video, it doesn't matter. It matters what you said about the 8-minute video. It doesn't matter how long you stream for. So I don't understand your point.
The ratio of transformative
content if you let me elaborate on my point content, instead of breaking the semantics, right? Because you could
not semantics. That's how fair use works.
Okay.
Yeah, it's talking about law. You do have to be kind of really specific and semantic when it comes to this kind of thing. You can't just details are important in this kind of debate, I will say.
We're not even talking about the nature of the content yet.
Also, it doesn't seem like that polite is kind of like, saying, stop talking over me and that kind of thing. Whereas I think, sometimes Ethan does that, but he tends to be quite fair. As long as you have something worth saying, he will listen. Whereas if you kind of, being a bit wishy-washy and kind of, not saying anything of substance, he might be more likely to, kind of take the reins more in a debate, I'd say.
Fuck the content. It could be a blank.
Hold on, just to be clear, you said you don't do fair use, but I don't also. So we're talking about fair use, just to be clear, right?
Okay.
So the thing that I remember about this is it takes a turn where it's a very much, you do it too, so it's fine for me to do it kind of argument, which... I've kind of had these. I've had this argument in relationships. It's when are you gonna wash up, your plates and bowls, and the response might be, well, you haven't washed up your plates and bowls, and it's like, it can be, you should wash up your plates and bowls, but the fact is that they still haven't washed up their plates and bowls. It just makes it's a very much a drag others down with you type of, response that doesn't actually, solve the original issue. It creates more new issues, if anything.
Okay, let's reel back a little bit and stop being stupid for a minute and just kind of listen. Okay.
I'm listening.
You said that I upload non-transformative content. Yes, you said that.
You said that too, but yes.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Yeah. And I said that you do too, right? And I'm not saying, so you would say, oh, but it's like a you-too double fault fallacy, right? But in the instance where you try to take the high road and say, well, I don't do this, guys, well, you do. And my next point is that in amount of content that you upload, you're non-reactive. There's actually quite a lot.
I don't know.
Now that you've brought that up, I mean, sure, let's look
well, hold on. Before you do that, let's just I do think it's interesting because the commentary does matter.
Okay, do that. What? Where?
So he's just showing an example.
Music?
Arnold didn't have the best.
What the fuck am I watching? I mean, if that...
when I
Logan
hear
Paul
him on that too.
apologized. Coffeezilla, your slang is. He is a lopsided journalist with an agenda, more like an
reason. Yeah, so Logan made a video after he got absolutely bodied
So we've got kind of a counter-example that goes on as well.
where he's like, I'm going to sue you.
And neck skin, and you do like this.
Yeah.
And you have all sorts of things, and that's major react, bro. I have to give it to you.
Right.
That's
No, you're right. You're right.
That's insane.
You understand this concept because you talk about it all the time. Meat Canyon is my friend who gave me permission to react.
So it's about permission then. So now we're going to go post.
Well, hold on. It is. Hold on. Before we move on, I just want to make it clear that when you're accusing me of not adding enough commentary, that you did upload a clip that's deceptively edited, and I mean, frankly, dishonest. Why did you cut this beginning part?
Okay, so Ethan.
Why did you cut this?
Unfortunately, the problem that I have right now is that you're saying that now, and you're saying all this whatever, right? But it's quite literally you in the video that's edited that says
he's kind of ignoring, all of the important details, and he's not actually addressing anything that's being brought up. So there's not much to say here other than, it's kind of just deflecting. And the other thing I want to say is I find the guy a bit hard to understand, but I'm not sure if that's just, my own accent and where I'm from, maybe. I'm not sure if, people over the pond have an easier time understanding him or not, but he sounds like he might be like European or something, so I would have thought that I would have, had an easier time with that, maybe. I'm not sure.
If there's cuts in it, it's not the video. How is if there's cuts in it? How is that a representation of my analysis?
All right, then examine Exhibit B, the Meat Canyon one. Then
I already told you I had permission.
Yeah, so he's like, blah, 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 blah. He's not really. It looks like he's not sure what to say.
Okay, so you're gonna reel it back and say,
I'm sure that there's been times where proof that you have victims is literally just concrete proof you did it. That's disappearance of FBI's most wanted 16-year-old. XQC reacts. This is from a month with it. You can come talk to me. Like that's not your right. Shouldn't you apologize to Vince?
Yes, I apologize.
It's not his job to come ask you for.
And then every penny of that, I'll say this ecosystem.
I do feel like H3's kind of grilling him a little bit, and he does cut him off, a fair bit. So I just want to say that, in fairness to XQC, I would have liked to have heard, him speak a little bit more and maybe get a little bit more, time to, kind of explain himself. I think that, maybe that could have improved. I mean, I'm not sure if it would have improved the situation, but I think that it might have just given us a little bit more insight into, the other side of the argument.
Right, but that
doesn't work for you.
Let me ask you a question. This is the video, and you do this all the time. You'll agree.
Yes.
You use the exact title and the exact thumbnail. The only reason for anybody to do that.
You don't like questions. I'm just going to give you a fact. Then, right?
It's not too important.
Biggest fan base in the world. Like, is that really a foreign idea to you that they wouldn't want to deal with this power dynamic? Like, you would crush them if you said anything.
You do not. Gotcha. Since we're going to do the whole, I'll answer for you. You do not have a time machine, right? It is impossible to know how the video would have performed and how it went down in its natural curve over time, right? Whether I watched it
That's
or
an
not.
assumption. You have no proof. I have proof.
So you use...
I have analytics.
So one data set...
Both just talking about what ifs and that kind of thing. So it's getting a little bit more of a petty debate, I'd say, at this point. So... Yeah, fake PewDiePie and, Vape Nation here, they're not really getting anywhere, I feel like, at this point. I think that, I've skipped forward a little bit and they're still talking about, kind of the exact same issues with neither of them really, I think H3's given more concrete examples here, and I think that XQC, is kind of struggling a little bit to come back, and they're kind of talking hypotheticals and that kind of thing. So I feel like the call's becoming already counterproductive at this point, I'd say.
You have no data set. At least I have a data set.
Oh my God!
And also, you're the dude stealing content, so the onus should be on you to prove the great benefit of it.
Okay,
just
I get what you're saying.
Stealing content.
I find it a little bit dishonorable and a little bit disappointing that in the middle of a conversation about analytics, you're spewing words to your audience and mine about me stealing and whatnot, when we're trying to prove that, it quite literally doesn't help anybody. You're muddying the waters for no reason.
Unpack that, please.
So they've just kind of, he's just stopped debating now, and he's just calling him a content thief, and just, he's accepted or kind of decided to accept that, XQC steals content at this point, and this was meant to be a debate. So yeah, that's a good point to bring up, and I think that that's probably happening because he's annoyed Ethan at this point. I think that he's being a little bit disrespectful, so he's annoyed him, and then Ethan's just kind of, it seems like he doesn't want to be here at this point. So he's kind of, I think the fact that he's, stopped debating now, and he's just, acting like he's owned him and not really giving him that much of a chance to speak, and kind of completing, the idea that he's a content thief now. It suggests that he wants to get the video over and done with, and it kind of gives me the feeling that he might not have wanted to do this in the first place, just based on how he's being here compared to how he was at the start of the video. I think that it seems like he was always planning on just calling him out, basically.
Could you stop, please? Seriously, I mean, it's gonna get really bad. I don't want to do like the whole insult ad hominem thing because you're doing that. Okay.
It's just a statement of fact.
A little pre-warning, though.
Not an insult.
Okay, okay. So as we go forward, you are fucking bald. You're very bald. You're balding. Your hair's thinning, and it's...
All right, so he's completely decided to give up on the debate at this point, and it's just kind of devolved into, commenting on each other's physical appearance and that kind of thing. So XQC gave Ethan one last chance, and, I think Ethan didn't resort to, insults, but, I think XQC's lost kind of his temper at this point, and I think calling him, balding, so that, I mean, neither of these guys are bald. I mean, I'm, the top of my hair is going, so I know what, that really means. So, it's pointless bickering at this point.
Great, means that you're old as fuck. Got it. Okay,
I think H3 is only like 3 years older than me or something like that. So, he's not old. He's probably, in 2023, he'd be considered, in the prime of his life, basically, at this point. And, certainly not old. That's pretty immature.
Shall we continue? Is this fun?
The premise is faulty, my friend.
Is this fun for you?
I have a beautiful hairline.
Baldy, is this fun for you or not?
I'm having trouble with the premise. It has a striking resemblance to you trying to argue other points. It literally has no premise at all. It has no basis in reality.
You're just throwing insults for the sake
Go
of
ahead. I'm going
it.
to be quiet. I'm going to sit away. I'm going to pack. I'll sit away.
Okay.
We're trolling each other now.
Okay. So, I don't know if you've done any statistical analysis in the past. I don't know if you've maybe had a stat class. Do you have any experience with statistics or not?
Go ahead.
Stats.
I can't understand it.
Do you have any experience? It's a question. Do you have any experience with statistics or not?
Go ahead. Just make your point. What does it matter?
Okay. Okay. The curve of a video and on how it performs, that looks like a natural curve, right? You can see it's already going down before I watch it, and it keeps going down at a certain rate past it, right? Do you have any proof or any indicators that the video would have performed poorly or better after the reaction?
So obviously, any data that we do have, which is of course just one, definitely proves that if it did have an effect, it's negative or negligible. And as the guy who is right?
So the argument, he's saying that he's saying that his reactions do give value to the video. And he's really only arguing whether it does or not how much. Whereas I say that Ethan, is doing a little bit more of a nuanced kind of response and, saying, if even if it is adding value, it's negligible, and it's still a measure of how little effort's being put in. That's the takeaway that I got.
I mean, you certainly can't say that this helped the video. Are you actually arguing that a 87% decrease helped the video, XQC? That's really what you're arguing to me right now. That's awesome, dude.
So we're going to go ahead and have the conclusion that you did not have a statistics class at all.
I understand your point, but like, But it's not making any sense. How is it that a 52% decrease in viewers is a dub for you?
Because it could have been a 65%. It could have been a 65% decrease, right?
It could have been worse. Yeah, it could have been worse. But
okay. Do you have any proof that it would have been or wouldn't have been? Do you have any data behind that or not?
I mean, dude, that's such a silly way to try to deflect from this really compelling data.
Because in my data sets, I have a lot of data sets, a bunch of them, and all the video curves have the same.
That you're looking for any excuse, any out to justify you stealing content from.
Yeah, that's the other thing that I was going to say. It's getting further from the original point, which is a bit of a shame. Saying, oh, it's not that bad, doesn't prove whether something is true or false. So, he hasn't actually proven that he doesn't just steal content and, put in low effort, despite the fact that he's attempted to say, look, there's at least some effort there, and the videos do better, and people watch my version of it more than the original often, so therefore it must be adding value. But that doesn't address the ideological issues of the original creator being given a slice of that pie, certainly.
People, even in the face of data that suggests that it's not.
Minimize.
I'm sorry, I'll read it because. What does it? No,
yeah,
I'm genuinely curious. No. XQC. No, I really want you to answer it.
And you fell on your face flat.
No,
it's time to let on the facts.
No, it's an interesting philosophical question.
Prove me wrong.
It's not philosophical. I think that he means, ideological. Really, it's idealistic. I think that whenever he says philosophical, he really means idealistic, which can be a positive and a negative thing. So, is this the right thing? Is this morally right? I think that's really what he's saying. And I think that this proves that XQC, isn't really on the moral page. He's more on, cares about the numbers, that kind of thing. But it's hard to tell because they're just talking over each other at this point. But it's definitely entertaining.
Okay, first of all, the Teddy Fresh thing. So Teddy Fresh is a company with 30 employees. And by the way, I love when...
So, yeah, Teddy Fresh, they sell clothes, and they were accused of copying some other designs from other companies, and they had to take some stuff off of their, internet shelves, and they addressed the problem as far as I know. But it's certainly, a wound, on their reputation. But as far as I'm aware, from the other podcasts that I've listened to, etc., the brand seems to be still quite popular. And some of the larger names that I'm certainly aware of, I've seen, I've seen them wearing Teddy Fresh, and I've heard them talk about them. And they usually reference Ethan and Hila Klein, when they talk about Teddy Fresh itself. So the brand, I think, is associated with them. So that... makes me think maybe that's why he's bringing it up, because he's kind of bringing Ethan's character into question here, and I think that that's really taking us away from the original debate, which is a shame. So let's see if they get back on track.
Whenever someone's losing a debate to me, they bring this up. It's literally the lowest hanging fruit. And if you knew anything about me, I've talked about this 1,000 times, but I'll address it because you brought it up.
Go ahead.
We have like a whole team of designers. And sometimes our designers are taking stuff way too close to the source, and I agree, and it's not okay.
Give a fuck. So does my editors, which makes us about equal on that topic. So you can still sometimes, when somebody gets confused at the company, when one of the sweatshop guys gets it wrong.
Hold on.
Oh, my bad. But when my editor gets it wrong, oh no, we are thieving.
Hold on. Let me finish my point.
Yeah, bring out Hila. Hey, bring him in.
Hold on. Let me finish my point.
Hold on. Your husband is bald.
It's her baby.
My husband looks awesome.
Dude, my hairline is... You really... Okay, dude, the fact that you're coming for my hairline just proves how fucking delusional your whole... That's a metaphor for all of your arguments. Okay, Teddy Fresh, we have designers, right? And it's a big... We have a fairly large company. This is a common problem in all streetwear. We've had designers who have pretty much close to stole designs. We fired people over it. And every time it comes up, we have company meetings and say, guys... This is unacceptable. If you're caught doing this, you will be fired.
And we've made a strict guideline, and it doesn't happen anymore.
What have
it
you
hasn't
done?
happened.
What have you done to prevent it?
Okay.
I like that she's so she's interjected, but she's certainly not angry or anything like that. She's seems pretty calm, and she's willing to talk about this stuff and kind of keep it on track, which is good. Ethan's definitely frustrated at this point, and I don't think that he was expecting her to just turn up. So that's definitely entertaining. That's absolutely hilarious.
So this is really good.
Okay.
You done?
Okay. That's what you sounded like.
Is he done or?
No, he's done. You can talk. He's done.
I'm just being silly. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I don't know how you put up with this shit. I would fucking leave his ass. Anyway,
I'm having a third child with him.
No, you're getting divorced. Wait, XQC didn't even say we're getting divorced.
This has nothing to do with the debate.
Go ahead.
But it's pretty funny.
You know, our 4-year-old though would love your giraffe.
I think they're both just as bad now. Funny noises and it's really nothing at this point.
I don't know who you got it for, but our 4-year-old would love your giraffe in the back.
Don't buy it.
Distributing to those guys who made the original graphic. I'm making their life better while I'm sitting in a Gucci shirt,
Okay. Yeah, that was like $1,000 is what it is.
I know.
Yeah, exactly. Which I don't know why you would bring that up, to be honest. That's kind of... You want to talk about low-hanging fruit?
I thought it was a good point, because you're taking...
Because you're saying that you care.
Let's not answer the question. You do nothing to rectify it while we do. So go ahead. What are you doing about it on a daily basis?
Every single person that has brought up a negative point about the videos...
But you don't change what you do.
We have... Well, absolutely we have.
You literally said, I don't care.
Oh, yeah, but I still do the right thing, though.
Which is what?
Right? Which is work to make better thumbnails, better description, and to better work with the creators that are behind the video so that we don't fuck them over and they actually gain something from it. Now, I'd like to talk with Hila for a minute. So what you're saying is that you're repairing from hindsight, which is something that Ethan tried to get at me at, right? And then you brought the fact that we have 30 employees, help us out. Okay, fair enough. Then I, XQC, or whatever the corporate company, a parent company is, right? We only have like 2 employees, 2 editors, right? Mm-hmm. And help us out, guys. Like, this is so sad that we only have 2 guys. We're playing the victim card here, right?
Right, so to me, what I take away is that he's saying, look, I make mistakes and you've made mistakes too, I think that he's kind of taking this I'm younger, less experienced kind of stance. Why is it absolutely fine for you guys to make mistakes and not me? I think, just to kind of, play devil's advocate or whatever, to try and, be fair. That's, kind of the takeaway that I get here, which I think... is worth remembering. He can, suddenly decide to change now. But, the other thing is the pointless name calling, that kind of thing, and bringing up, other things. It goes back to that whole, you look at what you've done. What I'm doing is fine because you do other things that are bad too. It's pointless. It doesn't actually solve the original issue. And I also think that, when he said he'll do all those things to, improve the situation, I'm not sure that those are actually being done. So I'll need to follow up on that at a later time, I think.
Well, they sometimes make mistakes too, right?
It has views and intentionally misleading audience to clicking your fucking video.
Intentionally, that is not intentional.
How 12 hours of content for Kick, who paid you $100 million, if you can't steal other people's content? Because if you don't, what the fuck are you going to do all day? Sit there and gamble? Nobody's going to watch that shit.
XQC
Nobody's going to watch this shit already. They don't care about you even having arguments. Clearly, you're not very good at that. You lost 12 viewers, man.
It's a gambling-related deal.
My views are very good right now, by the way.
So I think we need like a therapist to give us a hint on when the tantrum ends. When does it end, Ethan? It seems like when you go on these tangents, you go on a rampage and you just ramble and ramble without making any concise point or a question. Is it you're done with that?
He's not in goblin mode, don't worry.
Shit. Can we talk like adults now or not?
I think this conversation is kind of...
Yeah, so they basically... Can we talk like adults now? I don't think it's going to happen. It's like watching 2 kids argue. But yeah, they're both just as bad as each other in some ways.
Been exhausted.
People would rather watch me full screen cam do the fucking worm
than
watch your prime.
Bro,
watch your
do
prime
it for
content.
a week. Do a week of no reaction content and see how many fucking views you get. Oh, he's crying in the corner. Okay, sure.
He's doing the worm.
I mean, that's content, man. It's original content, at least.
Beautiful.
Yes, do that, bro.
Dude,
do
I
a
you
week.
fucking love it, man.
Bro.
Right, so that's like a metaphorical way of saying you're jealous that I can, be very successful with, very low quality content. And that's kind of like that reminds me of Sniperwolf saying, that Jacksfilms is just jealous and that kind of thing, and it doesn't really address whether, it is morally right. Saying it works, why not do this doesn't, actually mean that it's okay to do. So, while it's pretty funny, it's, very much a, kind of a ha-ha, kind of move.
This is the most funny event in the past fucking 4 years, bitch.
It's awesome. Do a week of no React content.
Oh, man. Oh.
Even you're just burning time. You could sit here for 12 hours. That'd make your life easier. You wouldn't have to go steal videos. But me, I planned this. I have a show. I have a schedule. This has stopped being interesting because you're just sitting there saying silly shit and doing the worm. So with that being said, thank you for calling. I feel like it was very illuminating, and I wish you the best, and I hope you have a great stream. Oh, one more question. I wanted to ask him, who is Mr. Chair?
Right, so the Mr. Chair thing, so it's kind of the retort is that, because the content requires so little effort, which, it did with the example of him doing the worm, it's kind of like saying, you might as well not even be in the video. He's saying, what's the point in the reaction altogether? And I think that goes back to the whole, curation over creation debate that I think is, kind of the root of the problem with this transformative versus non-transformative content. Does curation count as a transformation to the content? And I'm, not sure about that. I do wonder why there are so many parallels between these two situations, Sniperwolf versus Jacksfilms and H3 versus XQC. Why do the younger ones that are accused of stealing content, resort to this, picking on the other person's appearance and accusing them of being jealous? I think that, that really kind of shows the kind of people that, they are, and how they're kind of defensive of their positions. But at the same time, I do think that H3 and Jacksfilms both are really kind of, exasperated, jaded, think that, ideally, morally they shouldn't be doing this, but, the fact is that they can get away with it. They probably hope that they won't get away with it for much longer. And they probably, as being the older ones that have been doing this for longer, they, don't seem quite as childish, but, they did both start this debate. So Jacksfilms made videos about Sniperwolf and tweeted about, with them backwards and forwards. H3 invited XQC to have this debate in the first place, and also talked about him to Hassan and that kind of thing, prior to, this being released. So, a lot of parallels between the two situations that I think, maybe, are worth taking note of, I think, because I think that this is really going to be a two-sided argument. I don't think that there's necessarily, going to be that much nuance. The platform owners who decide the rules are inevitably, either going to say, either this is allowed or this is not allowed, I think. A decision would be nice, but if things stay as they are, that is the decision to say this is allowed. So, no action is action there. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'm going to leave this there, and yeah. Thank you very much. Hopefully that's given you some nice stuff to think about, and hopefully I've brought up some good points though. Thank you.